Welcome back. We are ascend. Yes. This is the Paladin, and he is level 17. I put in a lot of work to get him there, and it was actually pretty fun once I went out on the second attempt to get him leveled. As you can see, we are running more purples than you can shake a stick at, and yet it's not enough. One of the big issues I currently have with him is, well, he's level 17 because we were running this, and we picked up a few other sources of XP gain, and I got pretty far into the... Was it him I was in there? No, I definitely didn't reach... I know I beat the undead snakes, which sends us to the final level before the final boss. I don't remember. Nevertheless, I took him the distance, and then I died to something stupid. It is a classic tale. We don't need to dwell on it. Also, I have, as you can see from all of the epic gear that we currently have, I'm assuming that's the name of the tier. I ran a lot of I say a lot, but this is almost all of the purples that we have. There might be one or two in storage, but I've run a lot of the maps I've picked up while this guy's 30. Oh, it's 35 at base from this. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm running the Cruel Iron Dagger, which grants us evasion in significant amount. And it's just a regular shield. But he also has a ton of health, a ton of armor, can evade, and while going through him on the last run before I stopped playing, he was basically taking no damage while dealing damage back to the enemy through augments to his passive, I believe, while I was also using the first skill to just constantly cave their skulls in, while also attacking with the... See, keep in mind, remember, we got this last episode, and he has an augment for his first skill. I'm just going to call it bash. Well, it's less of a bash. It hits the ground rather than a target, so it's more of a smash. We'll call it smash. For his smash skill, which means it's just that much more spammable. It already has an extremely low cooldown, and between the cooldown reduction from, I believe it's one of the drinks, and no, not the drink, it's from... Is the cooldown from the chapel buff, or... Oh, speaking of the chapel buff, so there's another chapel buff that increases XP gains. I was also running him with that, so we would pick up extra XP gain sources through the run, and it was so good. And now he's level 17. He's almost old enough to drink. They grow up so fast. Anyway, he is actually a pretty good killer once you get the proper augments rolling. Also, the weapon I have is just disgustingly powerful, so there's that as well. Like, it's pretty absurd. Anyway, it is time to see the promotional classes. That's not the way that should be said. The promotion classes. We have 3 to choose from, as always: Divine, Radiance, and Justice. And we will start with Radiance, since I have no opinion on anything and I have no idea what they are or do. Though I see Immolation as the active, and that's pretty telling. Let's get stuck in. First, we have the active Immolation. You charge up a massive explosion that is unleashed when you release the spell, dealing fire damage to all enemies around you. It has a maximum charge time of 2 seconds and starts out dealing 300 damage. Now, with its cooldown being 7 seconds, which we learned recently feels like a small piece of eternity, and having all of the cooldown reductions that I have, that should feel pretty good. Now, we also have the passive, Inner Flames. Casting spells generates stacks of Inner Flames. While you have stacks, you gain aura, dealing fire damage to nearby enemies. And that damage itself is 8 per stack, for a which maxes out at 5 stacks. And the stacks have a duration of 5 seconds, scaling up to 7. The damage also ticks at a rate of 0.5 seconds. And I'm assuming continuing to cast spells just refreshes it, so the duration is what you make it, effectively. If you have enough mana generation, you should be able to just keep that up forever. Here we have Justice, featuring the active skill Judgment. You pass judgment on random nearby enemies for a duration, striking them with a divine hammer, dealing physical damage. Starting at 100, scaling all the way up to 300. It's got a significant mana cost. Ooh, that is brutal. I don't know what the tick rate is supposed to mean. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. But okay. So I'm guessing this is an active that turns on an effect whereby nearby enemies receive the smash from heaven instead of from you in particular. And that effect remains active for 7 seconds and triggers once every second. So it's basically got a cooldown of about 8 seconds, which you can reduce. So basically if you have enough cooldown, you can actually have it up permanently. Though the cost is significant, so you're going to be relying on more. Oh, don't forget, the Paladin has a passive where his basic attacks can restore mana. And he also has an augment that goes along with that passive that allows you to deal damage whenever you trigger that passive effect of restoring mana when you hit something. And that damage from that, which it must be said, scales from 25% up to, is it 25? Yeah, it's from 25% up to 100% of your current mana. So if you have good mana regen and a massive mana bar, you can output some damage. I do not have a massive mana bar because I spec into health, like a good boy. Moving on to the passive, we have Lawbringer. You block or take damage. You have a chance to inflict disarm and silence on the attacker. That is actually hilarious when you block or take damage. So no matter what, you have a chance to inflict disarm and silence when you're being attacked. I wonder if the chances to trigger both. And by that I mean, are they separately applied? Or are they both applied when the chance triggers? Because that will make the difference. Because that would be the difference between whether this is good and whether this is great. If it applies both at the same time when it triggers every single time, you want that because the enemy basically can't do anything. I would love to take this into a instance dungeon and just see how it would work against one of the bosses there. But I don't have any maps left. And then we have Divine. With the active skill, Divine Pillars. You summon pillars of heavenly light to explode at your location, dealing physical damage and inflicting blindness. Which just makes me tankier. It starts at 200 damage and scales up to 400. The mana cost is pretty steep, and I say it's steep based on how little mana I currently have, or how little maximum mana I currently have, because I'm not investing in more. I want him to do more damage. I also want to be able to equip certain things, like my shoes, without having to wear the headgear that gives me extra dexterity. I started talking about that and then I got distracted and mentioned something else, moved on to something else. But the headgear he's currently wearing gives him extra dexterity, and the shoes he's wearing needs a lot of dexterity. I think it's 36. He doesn't have 36, and he's at level 17, so he should have a few more skill points. Not skill points, stat points that I can distribute, but that's a bit of a concern. Another concern I have is that this is not a skill with a duration, so that 15-second cooldown, even though it does scale downwards to 9 seconds, you're going to feel that, especially if the blind is actually, how do I put it? For me, remember, the dagger that we're using has, I think it's a 30% chance to parry. There's I think it's an affix that adds extra parry chance. It might be a prefix. I don't remember. I know I've seen it. I just don't remember if I have that piece of equipment. Anyway, on to the passive, Divine Protection. Taking damage when below half health has a chance to grant you a buff of invulnerability for a brief period. This, of course, has a cooldown of 16 seconds, scaling downwards to 12. It has a 3-second duration, scaling upwards to 4, and triggers at a 25% chance. Thing is, you really just don't want to be below half health. Even with as much armor as I give this guy on runs, especially remember the enemies, remember what the enemies are in the final level. They're basically just spheres of light that do DPS, elemental DPS. It's not a good time up there. And again, I don't remember how far I took this guy before I died to something stupid. No, I remember. I remember now. I did get there. I did get to the final levels before the final boss, because I remember the eyeballs that come out of the the eyeball creatures that come out of the portals. I would literally sit on top of the portals and just hold the smash button. Yeah, that's right. I was edge guarding. Fight me. Divine does not seem like it'll be great. So, as usual, let's rank them based on what we currently know. I say Radiance is probably going to be the best one for damage output, obviously. Justice is going to be pretty good since its active skill technically has a lower cooldown due to the fact that the effect has a duration that will tick down alongside the cooldown. So, with enough cooldown, you basically only have to recast the ability again. You'll pretty much be able to recast the ability off cooldown and keep it up forever. So obviously Radiance is going to be rank 1, Justice at 2, and Divine at, I don't want to put it at 4. I'll put it at 3. And you know what? Let's actually check let's get a preview of their augments in reverse. Instead of starting with Radiance, we'll start with Divine, which is the one I consider to be the worst, and see how things look for them. Also, I think this dagger is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, and I love it. Just checking, you know? You can never be too sure you don't have secret maps. Okay, so, for the augments, we have only 3. Of course, there will be, 3 in total here, and there's probably 6 in total out in the wild. So for Divine Pillar, we have Divine Pattern. Causes additional pillars to strike in succession in a grid-like pattern. The pillars deal half as much damage with each consecutive strike. And that goes upwards of 2 additional strikes. I'd have to see it in action first. That it's the way it works, being vague, is not helping its case any. Then we have Pillars of Wrath, deals additional lightning damage. See, you chose the wrong element here, and now it's just downhill. Then we have its passive. The original passive was I honestly don't remember. Taking damage when below half health has a chance to grant you invulnerability. It's not bad. You also gain a massive increase to health regen while you have the buff. Oh, and right, so I discovered something. With new characters, you can apparently just give them the combo kill passive, or one of the others, depending on what fits them best. And you don't even have to worry about killing the totem to get it. Speaking of the totem, when I took him to the totem, I had 5 minions. The totem did not appreciate that. It was expecting to do the gangbanging, not to get gangbanged. Things got real sticky real fast for the totem, and I came out on top. Lots of innuendo. You're welcome. The point is, I gave him combo kill, and then I looked at the other stuff that we had that he could also gain. Oh, right. That means if we further upgrade the library, we gain the final tier of buffs you can get for your combo mode. Or, yeah, combo mode's fine. And like I said earlier, he's really good at killing, especially with this weapon. So, with that in mind, I gave him extra mana regen. I think it's 150%, and I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if that's on 150% on top, or if that's just an extra 50% mana regen. No idea, but I didn't have mana problems on the second run. I think I did on the first one, even though I gave him the combo kills before I ever left town with him. And that was at like level 4, that first run. I think it was level 4 up to about level 10. And then I gained 7 levels after doing that second run, which was just... I almost died to the shadow mob in the Citadel skip. It was really bad, actually. Like, really bad. He does not have a good time with that particular skip. Maybe I should go with the forest skip instead. But if I can manage to get him through... See, the issue is the shadow mob has evasion. And there's nothing you can do to reduce it, or I guess maybe you could stun them? But then you have to actually land the hit that stuns, and you have to actually... Well, the shield can trigger a guaranteed stun if it hits. But I would need there to be like one enemy so I could test the theory first. If it becomes proven that a crowd-controlled enemy loses evasion, that could change the way I look at enemies with evasion. But until such a time, I'm just going to consider them really annoying. Anyway, all of that is to say, restoration could probably be good if... Remember, for the combo kills, there's a buff you can choose that increases your health regen. Or no, health gain. So, basically, this could... No, see, the problem is the passive has a very long cooldown, and only 3 seconds that it's active. That's not going to be good enough. Then we go forward or backwards into Justice to preview some of its augments. As I've said, there are going to be more of them out in the wild. It's only giving us a select few to choose from here. And here we're only getting 2 from the active and passive. Starting with Prolonged Prosecution. Before I start, remember, the active for Justice activates an effect. I'm basically going to call it an aura. An aura where God decides to hammer your enemies. Anyone nearby catches the business. And it triggers once per second for 7 seconds. Now, moving on to the augment for it, we have Prolonged Prosecution. While Judgment is active, you gain a chance to extend the duration when killing enemies. but it cannot be extended to more than 7 seconds. That doesn't even freaking matter. That's perfectly fine. Even at a 10% chance, mowing down thick enough mobs, you're guaranteed to proc this. Now, how many times you proc it, that's going to be literally up to chance. But the chance scales from 10 to 40%. At 40%, it's pretty much guaranteed if there are enough enemies to kill. So that's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Then we have nothing to see here. Look, I really don't care for lightning damage. It's meant for mobbing, not for doing damage to bosses, which is my only concern. Mobbing, there are so many other options for mobbing. You don't need skills with lightning damage. Now sure, lightning damage can probably stun enemies, but I'm not going to waste my time on something that isn't doing damage that matters. Fire is the only element that matters in terms of dealing damage. Ice is the only one that matters in terms of keeping mobs from being too unruly. Also, there's the fact that ice damage tends to have higher damage output at base than either of the other elements, which is curious, to say the least. But I will accept it. Anyway, on to the passive. What is the passive again? I don't remember. Lawbringer. When you block or take damage, right, you can silence or disarm the attacker. So, on top of that, we have the augment Punish the Wicked. Hitting an enemy afflicted by disarm or silence strikes them with a judgment hammer. And that has a cooldown of 0.6 seconds, scaling down to 2.2 seconds. That's pretty nice. Then there's Shackles. Weapon and spell hits gain a chance to shackle the target and a different enemy. Shackled enemies have reduced movement speed and take continuous physical damage. No, this one is obviously better. This turns you into a DPSer for sure. This is the obvious and only choice. Especially if, by some miracle, the devs decided all cooldowns you may have can be affected by cooldown reduction. In which case, the 0.2 goes even lower. But I don't have any evidence that that's the case, so I'm not going to assume in that particular advanced class's favor. And then we have Radiance. The one I consider to be number 1 of the advanced classes. Don't you make a fool of me now. Remember, the active skill Immolation causes you to channel and then explode, dealing 300 base damage. I don't remember the cooldown for it. That's probably something I should take note of. I think it's 7 seconds. Yeah, I remember going on about how that feels like a small eternity. So it's probably 7 seconds. And then the passive is that every time you get hit, you build stacks. Each stack causes you to emit an aura of fire. I wonder why the aura is. Anyway, each stack deals 8 damage, and that's fine. It might do something else, I don't remember for sure, but let's focus on the active right now. Fuel the Flame. You gain additional stacks of inner flames when you cast Immolation. Okay, that actually changes everything. Your damage over time from your aura going up to 80 damage per second? No, I think it ticks every half second. So every second you're dealing 160 damage to anything next to you. You're not going to like that. We also have Blazing Lance. You now unleash a Blazing Lance projectile that deals additional fire damage to all enemies in its path. That's probably not going to be as good because that requires you to be facing what you want to get hit with. We'll have to see. Then we have the first augment for its passive, Flames of Devotion. Each stack of inner flames adds fire damage per your character level to your weapons. Same as with the Poison Rogue, except it starts a little higher. That's not good. If I'm mathing this out correctly, that's literally at maximum stacks, that is literally 4 fire damage. Each stack of inner flames, right. So that's math on top of extra. Okay. That's an additional factor I didn't keep track of. So each stack of inner flames. So you have 5 stacks. Okay, so it's basically, so once you max this out, you have 1 stack. You gain 1 fire damage per level, which is fine. 20 fire damage on your weapon is pretty good. And considering, doesn't my dagger already have fire damage and fire pen? Pretty sure that's this dagger? I'll check before we set off. But then we have the other preview, which is Bringer of Flames. Each stack of inner flames increases your fire resistance and fire penetration. Well, that's just good. Especially since it scales per stack. And you can get this, which gives you additional stacks. So these just scale harder. I mean, you don't get very much more out of this one, but this one would like that very much. That would literally, at maximum, and this only has 2 levels. At maximum level, this augment would literally give you, if you have Fuel the Flame, this would literally give you 300 fire resistance, which is good. But I would actually prefer more poison resistance since enemies towards the end use the shadow magic, which I'm pretty sure is dealt out as poison damage. Well, deals dot damage that is, how do I put it? The dot damage from shadow magic from enemies deals its damage as if it were poison, according to the effect it has on your health bar. Again, I have to mention, I've never paid attention to my health bar when something sets me on fire. So I don't know if dot damage just manifests on your health bar with the green tint, or if it's just specifically poison. Because if shadow magic is doing a dot damage of a type that you just can't build resistance for, this isn't as good because most enemies that matter don't do fire damage. So the jury on this one is out, but being able to get up to 300 resistance, it's at least entertaining, right? So the question becomes, which one do we take? Obviously, we start our first run with the advanced class I consider to be the best. Especially because we have 2 pieces of gear, possibly the dagger, I still haven't confirmed it yet, that take advantage of fire damage. Or fire elemental, anything, really. Moving on, I think we should go with Fuel the Flame. I typically start with Purging Flames because I like being able to spam this more. But I don't think we're going to need that. Now that we can just explode. Also, it's nice to start off with... It's costing us 2,000 gold. I mean, I guess the fewer enemies and levels helps when you're on the New Game Pluses. It makes sense. I'm sort of tempted. Oh, right, we need to change this. We don't need the XP. It's mana cost, got it. That's really going to help him, actually, because his mana costs are kind of excessive. Well, from the point of view of someone that doesn't have very much mana investment. I have 22 points. I actually really do need to spend to get this dexterity up so I can keep my shoes, so I can keep everything that the shoes offer active. And then maybe we can scale up the focus. I think our strength is actually fine. We need 17 dexterity. No, we don't. The shoes require 36, like I said. So let's go ahead and take off. What headgear do we even want? See, I like this one because it just gives us extra strength, which means we kill things faster. But I like this one because it's purple. It really helps. It really helps. This was also something I got from one of the instance dungeons I ran after recording the previous episode. It was the best of them, and it also grants immunity to disarm, which all of the physical type classes are going to appreciate. Like, sure, go ahead, you can silence me. I'll probably kill everyone who can inflict that first, but go ahead, do your worst. Oh, right, I also picked up these from the last one I ran before I stopped, so I think it was with this guy as well. Literally just bullied the spider boss with him and took actually no damage. Between blocking the damage of the enemy, parrying, and 35% evasion, of course I took no damage, right? So now we have a poison specialty glove for anyone that can actually take advantage of it. And the strength requirement is actually extremely low, which makes it just that much more accessible for our other classes. So there won't be a need to spec too many points into it, unless it's for mages who won't have that much. But we're probably going to be giving extra strength to other classes between the Paladin the Paladin's achievements and the Warrior, I think it's probably called. Warrior, of course, I should probably start at the end of this episode, depending on how things go, and then that way I can just show off what the skills are and then just focus on leveling that off camera. So this actually doesn't really do anything for me, and I would much rather have this one, which gives me extra stats. And like you see, it turns off my shoes until I have enough dexterity. We need to offer 15 to the gods of dexterity until I find better shoes. Then I can respec him and take these points back. I will put one there, and everything else goes into focus. Now we have 202 mana. Also, you can increase the damage you can block with shields. I don't know how that works exactly, but I did it. And purple weapons are so much better than any of the other rarities or tiers, however you'd like to consider them. I want to give it the last extra just to make it a nice clean 10. But I might come across an imp that just gives me the extra level without having to spend any of that, which I would appreciate. All right. Let's head off and test out the presumed best of the 3 advanced classes. Of course, you're not going to see this first level. So, have fun with that. All right. That's a very delicious stretch. So, before we actually head out, let's show you what we're working with. Now, I did the Citadel skip, and by that I mean I went through the door that the architect opens for you. And so what we now have, thanks to I only lit 4 of the candles. Or not 4, 3. I only lit 3 of them, and that was a cautious. That was a risky choice, because when I did it the first time, which was with my second run, by the way, after which I was already level 10, or during which I was level 10, I almost died to just lighting 2, because you can't light more than, there literally aren't more than 2 until you have an active class, or advanced class active, I think. Yeah. So you can't light any more than 2 until you have an advanced class going, or currently equipped. I lit 3, fully expecting to die. All I lost was the 2 minions I picked up while going through the forest. No big deal. There will be more, or not, and either way I'll be fine. So, anyway, moving on, we have the Purging Flame augment for the Smash that allows us to create an AoE of fire damage. It's pretty good. It's much better once you get range, increased radius on Smash, but that's an issue for another time. Nothing for the heal, because honestly, there's just nothing good for it. No, there is. There is the augment that lets you increase your health and mana regen when you use this. For Armored Knight, we have Armor of Wrath. This passive really does need to be upgraded because we could get so much more armor going. It grants flat armor and percentage armor. That would just be really good to upgrade. Even just to 10. Though 20 would be preferable. Anyway, we have Armor of Wrath that lets us deal lightning damage to any enemy that hits us with a 25% chance. It also deals the damage based on 50% of my armor value, which, if you need a refresher, is currently 430. So you know. It'll hurt. There we go. Moving on from the passive, well, the second passive, we have the third active, Immolation, which has Fuel the Flame still. I did manage to upgrade this to its second level. I haven't actually seen that it grants a total of 10 stacks, so I'm mostly because the only time it would have really mattered was when I was fighting the shadow mob, and I need to focus on what's going on screen, otherwise I'll die. Well, that's what I thought, but we actually got through that without taking much damage at all. So going forward, I'm actually going to have to pay attention to make sure this actually grants us 10 stacks. Otherwise, Inner Flames isn't as good as a result. But that's it for the stuff we have on that. Let's see, we have the trinkets as well. We're currently getting there's a chance for extra mana when we kill something. We've got more spell damage, movement speed. We have a chance to create mana pickups. And it also increases what we get from mana pickups. This actually gains, it adds fire damage to your weapon, and then weapon hits can create an effect. Extra armor, we also have the extra parry, which should take us up to 45%. I wouldn't mind that weapon crit life leech, but that's an issue for another time. For now, we also have the Dragon's Claw for extra weapon and spell crit damage, some poison resistance, extra gold gain for all the trinkets in your pocket, chance to create a symbol on parry, not particularly useful. There's also the Girdle of Might for extra weapon damage that's contributing to the 50% parry set effect. Extra evasion, which is apparently not registering actively on the evasion that we currently have, which is fine. That just means we have over 40% evasion, which is good. Extra wood gain, more armor, extra weapon speed, which will never hurt. We have a chance to inflict confusion and a set effect that increases our cast speed by 25%. More damage against bosses. I wouldn't hate getting that XP gain set effect. Discordant Fiddle, which, pay attention, grants your spell hits a chance to inflict silence and deal an additional 50 damage in a small area. Spell crit chance and damage, and more spell power, which can only help our heals, so we'll take that. Casting spells, that's why. It's not getting hit, it's casting spells that triggers it. Hold on, there's stuff up here for me to grab. Glad I did reread that. bad news, folks. You don't get 5 extra like it's stated. It just gives you 5. So Fuel the Flame is not good. So that means anytime it comes up, anything is a better option.
What's behind you?
That makes me sad. When conviction triggers... Oh, right. I think I forgot to point this one out. So we also have Zeal, which triggers additional physical damage based on your current mana. What? Let me start over from the beginning. This is attached to the passive that causes you to regen mana at a percent chance. I think I maxed that passive out. At a percent chance when you hit an enemy with your weapon, which is why I prefer fast attacking weapons. And this one hits twice with every single swing. Therefore, when that triggers, this deals damage based on your current mana. And that's looking like the one I want to go with. There's also Lay on Hands Cleansing Touch, which is pretty good. At least in theory. But I've never had a reason to use it or choose it. I'm going to go with that, so I can do more damage. You know, I've been wall watching. I saw something up there too. I've been wall watching while doing my runs, and there are some places where it is just impossible to tell when there's a crack in the wall. I do appreciate the pyre being here, though. In case I choose to reroll. But the options would have to be spectacularly bad for me to do that. Wait, while I'm thinking about it, does this have... Yeah, this has a fire damage and pen on it. And its base parry chance is 30%. Interestingly, Immolation does not interrupt your normal attack. Sure hope Immolation has some better augments that I haven't seen yet. Did that hit for 1,000 damage? I can't tell. Couldn't tell. Hold on, so I don't have to come back up here. What damage? Being able to heal on command allows you to do stupid things, which will lead to more stupid deaths, but Who asked you? So I could just do this. Come on, everyone. Group picture. Hold on. Yeah, that is actually some pretty good mana regen. Hey, every single one of them. Neat. Run. Shut up, you. I actually have to stop attacking to be able to cast Immolation. Power, that'll give us extra weapon and spell power too. Aw. Now this place is nice and quiet. Did I remember to check that? Did I remember to open that wall I pointed out earlier? Crap. So we go this way. That's weird. Auto attacking interrupts the channeling, or basic attacking interrupts the channeling. That's why it won't go off. his stuff down there, but not yet. This gives us extra strength, which makes up for the dex. I forgot to change. Oh,
What's behind that machine?
Tempest Cape of Dashing. I forgot to change the affix of the purple helmet. It's fine, whatever. I'm not fond of having to just sit and wait before I can do anything else when trying to channel immolation. I really don't like that. You know what that means, right? -1 rank. Yep, even casting other skills interrupts the channel. Dang it. I stopped attacking in order to see if I was gaining mana back from... Well, I know I gained it back from the enemies getting killed at a 2% chance. But I was wanting to see if I could also get it back from them attacking me, and the shield, which deals 15 physical damage to anyone that attacks me. I was wondering if that damage would actually be able to trigger the passive, but it can't. So, with what we now know about whatever the augment is we currently have on Immolation, this isn't going to be nearly as good. So let's actually go with Armored Knight. Actually, this would probably be really good for the level before the final boss, where the enemies can actually stack this on you, stack dot damage on you more commonly. Because it should give you an immunity to that. I'm not sure it will. I don't know if the dot damage counts as a debuff. I would imagine not, since slow is a debuff and dot damage is more of an affliction. I don't know if it'll actually work on dot damage at all, now that I think about it. So we'll go with that. At least I know how that works and when it works. kind of issues here, boss. Ah. Nope, I'm completely wrong about that. Have I not found any secret rooms? Ah, speaking of which, get out of here. Ooh, that is really good. We are going to make money. This is the two skeletons, so what we always do is we sit on the face of the mage. I have to remember I have my shield ability as well. As always. Extra attack power. Shocking war bow of frostbite. Oh, that exists to be sold. So, like you saw, no real issues. It's pretty much like that for all of the bosses. I don't know. He was too far away. I don't know how it'll go for final boss, but you know, hope springs eternal. Oh, at some point the other minion died because I missed the heal on him. Shame on me. Also, the dot damage from these being on the ground stacks, unlike the effect with the... Well, I'm not sure about the demolition rogue. That one's not as clear-cut. Okay, now we also get extra armor and resistances for the trinkets in my inventory. It's fine. We actually didn't take that many stacks, despite how many times we had gotten hit. I have to remember, I cannot attack when channeling, which sucks. That might actually drag this down to third. I mean, the damage from it is good, and it has a high base, and a high cap. But the fact that you cannot use it while attacking with anything drags it all the way down. Oh. I could not heal because I was silenced. I nearly died. Because I got silenced and disarmed, forcing me to use another potion. Almost missed this out of frustration. In case you didn't see it, that lets us block an instance of 50 damage every so often. Not a fan of that stutter. Okay. Applies a buff. Should probably. Ooh, no, that's something else. Let's go with that. Correct. I am out of potions. If I get caught out again, I die. That for sure, and definitely. Yeah. That'll help. I know who exactly is doing the. Hold on. Whetstone or belt root? Yeah, sure, whatever. I know exactly who is inflicting the silence, which is extremely rough for us. But the issue is getting to the bastard before he hits me with it. Let's go ahead. Hold on. Game might be trying to crash. The issue is getting to him before he hits me with it, which is made doubly difficult because I keep getting body blocked by everything else. At some point we picked up a potion. We don't have that. Where did we get a potion from? Ah, right. We picked up a charge from the trinket. Yeah, I guess we can start up here. See, it works a lot better when I just get in there and kill. It also helps that I can also inflict silence with a 20% chance when I hit something with a skill. Didn't take that many steps. Ah, right. We have the pyre back in town, which decreases the amount of stacks we accrue by any means, apparently. And I think is also giving us the ability to reroll. As long as I keep moving, things keep dying. It's a really helpful mindset to keep. Get out of here. I would love to increase the radius on my smash. That way, I can't pass on any enemies. Four minions. Oh, good. 3 of these guys are tanking and 1 has range. That's basically perfect. I have better shoes. Ooh, hold on. That's upsetting. Not fun being silenced, is it, buddy? Ooh, that's perfect. Now we can restore potion charges with a 1% chance. This is fine. Since I've changed the way I engage these guys, we've come off a lot better. Still, I can't. That is actually annoying as frick. At some point, I lost 2 minions. It was all debuffs, block. guess. I should have re-rolled it now that I think about it. Markham's Purse. That would cost me the extra armor, but it would give me more damage. Instead, I'll do nothing. No thank you, senor. I don't know why they died instantly, but I'm still grateful. I do need to visit the potion. Cool. There we go. Oh. At some point, the trinket triggered and gave me all of my charges back. Very neat. Much cool. There was also a helmet. There was also a helmet that would prevent getting silenced. Obviously, we didn't get that. Rick, I didn't even get the one that prevents me from getting disarmed. I did get the one that got me. Why am I not wearing it? I'm an idiot. Probably don't need to worry about getting disarmed going forward from here, though, so there's that. Shot at dealing damage to you. See, he tried to circle around me. Didn't turn out too well for him. And so this is just how I handle these guys. I face tank everything and... Ooh. Easy. Thanks for doubling up, dummies. We'll kill him faster if we work together. That's right. Break yourself upon me. Meteor. Okay. If I had known that was coming, I could have just swapped out for the... What was that other thing? I don't remember what it was on trade for, but whatever. Mighty Great Axe of Armor Sundering. I mean, its damage is inferior to what we're currently using. But if we were to slap an by the way, I've discovered that we also have 700 health. I've discovered that when you upgrade a weapon, if you add an element to it, an elemental prefix to it later, that prefix gets the benefits of the upgrades. And as I've shown, weapons that you give elemental prefixes also scale with both the base damage and the elemental damage. So it's just better to have an element on a weapon, even though it could lead to you losing some of your damage based on elemental resistances the target might have. It's still just more damage overall, which is one of the reasons why the dagger we're using still has fire on it. This could be stronger because it has the mighty prefix on it, and that's literally just going to be 10 point some odd percent extra damage. Not great. I'll take it. And I have another one already. Oh, I put it away, apparently. I used it and I think I did use it and then I died. Because I should have been using dagger and board instead. But I wanted to, I was using it against the enemies in this level, and it worked well enough. I had the 100% radius on the smash. I drop a couple of those, and then I just spin to win on top of them while the enemy burns and gets DPS, and it was all right. By the way, what you just saw, you might have seen my mana drop to near nothing and then blow all the way back up to nearly full. That is because of, not you, is it you? Shield of Faith. While you have more than half of your maximum mana left, you block damage for the cost of mana. And for each damage you block, it costs 0.5 mana. I need to scale that up to 50%, but it's hard getting the stuff you need once you have the advanced class active. Well, that's how that went. Oh, hold on. I see full plates of prowess. Okay. They die so much faster than they did with the axe I used last time. Strike area, disrupts, blow half health, yeah. That way it becomes easier to use spells like healing, presuming of course that I even can. It's the Shield of Faith augment stops consuming your mana once it reaches half, so there is that at least. But between that and my own consumption of the mana, not a great time. That's right. Drop me those crystals. I'm an addict. I admit it. Where? Up here? How? How did that happen? I don't have a spell that can reach at that distance. That's weird. Yeah. Even if we do beat the boss with this particular, they did not like fire whatsoever. And I don't blame them. Even if we beat the boss with this advanced class, gotta get out of there because we lost the frames. Even if we do beat the boss with this class, this advanced class, it still remains rank 2 because the channeling thing is extremely inconvenient. If that had an augment that changed it, that augment would become mandatory, but it would prevent this class from having dropped in ranking from 1 to 2. And depending on how the others perform, it may drop even further than 1, then to rank 2. But we'll have to see how things play out. As you can see, we've got a lot going for us, survivability-wise. More damage. And our only real issue are fire element enemies. Which we just, since we no longer have to worry about being disarmed, we can just hit them with our weapon until they stop. Because, like I said, the dagger is just that good. Come on, I'll give it to all of you. It is extremely awkward having to stop what you're doing in order to cast a spell. Got credit for parrying. Or got an achievement for parrying. Spiderweb, more resistances. That'll be useful against the boss. More resistances. Cut down some of these bigger ones. And lost next to no health. Let's see how that works here. All we have to do, I could just straight up avoid being disarmed. But then I would lose so much damage too. See, I don't technically need to run out of the AoE of his little burst. There. Now we have the other helmet at the cost of some damage. Get down here. Oh, there's more. We have to get out of that. This strategy is what I call the tank and spank. Unless he uses the claws, we don't really care about anything. You're out of here, bud. Ooh, 2 maps. He couldn't be more mad right now. Drop anything else though. That really does feel extremely underwhelming when you beat the final boss of the mission and he drops 2 things that may or may not even be worth it. There should literally be a shower of things. Even if at below new game some of them are green. There should just be, you should be showered with stuff. It feels bad, is all I'm saying. Well, it doesn't feel bad, it just doesn't feel good. Especially considering how overwhelming of a show that ultimately was. Where we just bullied the guy. Anally and orally. His choice, he turned around. No, I did slip around behind him and give him the old 1,000 years of death. I couldn't remember the name of it. Pretty sure it's 1,000 years of death, not pain. We made 52,000 gold, though. I need to take off this coat, by the way. It's getting warm. I don't like it. Let's see what we can do about town. I do want to upgrade the guild hall. I don't need to upgrade the architect. I gave the apothecary another thingamabob. So yeah, let's do this. I assume the maximum for the guild hall is 10. Magic shop, more magical upgrades, and the library. I can actually do both the magic shop and the blacksmith, so we're going to do that. Anyone else? No. So the library is the only one that's left. And I couldn't do the library because we didn't have enough gold or enough stone from the very beginning. Next, we will be testing justice, but that will be next episode. So we're at a point where the gear we have and the stats we're able to give ourselves as a result of that gear now allows us to pretty much fight and beat the boss nearly every single time. Especially if we have the arming cap of, no, you can't disarm me. Or the technically, the arming implies the, no, you can't disarm me part, but whatever. Now, I know I picked up some affixes, but for some reason, and it's really weird, there were blueprints that had enchantment and a word. None of the words I picked up are over here. So that must mean they're affixes. But I haven't seen anything yet that I can actually put them on. And it's kind of frustrating because I have them, but they're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like picking up a weapon and then it disappears from your inventory. And I mean a good weapon. Something that has stats or effects that you want, and it just vanishes instead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. I'm not changing anything for this weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, stout, durable, icy, static, cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I picked up other things. So I don't understand. Brawny, stout, rejuvenating, astute. Okay, so that's what it was. I remember picking up astute. What is on here again? Tempest? That's the cast speed. We don't need that. I wouldn't mind spell power, since the spells, actually that extra strength would kind of be erotic. Wait. Okay, Tempest is what we have. That's why that stayed. Okay, so I can add strength, extra health. I don't think we need that. Extra mana regen might not hurt. But I want his abilities to be better. Especially since Justice is going to be so much more heavily focused on it. So I'll give it powerful instead.
Mm-hmm.
So what's on here currently? Extra health? Yeah, I see no reason to change that. I have him equipped with this, even though it's technically underperforming for him, because it has the reduced spell mana cost. If I had an armor that was made, well, that scaled with him properly, with the stats that he would prefer to have, I could refund well, actually we start with 22 intelligence, so we literally only had to put 2 points in to get him able to wear this. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the health we have on here is perfectly fine, so there's no reason to change that. We don't need... I don't think we could get another potion charge. No, never mind. Let's definitely do that. I didn't need it for the boss fight, which is fascinating. If I ever would have, it would have been to restore my mana, but like you saw, we didn't need anything to deal with the boss. We had every single thing that we needed to take him on and put him down. I will take the extra spell power. Thank you. I won't get too greedy though. That's extra 40. Ooh, we don't have elemental resistances at base. What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
50 for you. And let's see what they're selling. We're at level 19. This is for selling. This is for buying. All greens, so they aren't worth my time. Granted, I can turn them into blues, but both of the affixes on them would completely reset, and I could end up with literally anything. So it isn't really worth the effort to buy them. Instead, my money would be better spent increasing my armor to 50 at base, and then an extra, 50 weapon power. See, if I were to add to speed, I'll do 1. I really want to get that up to level 5, because then that's giving us an extra 11.5 5% attack speed. What else do I need to do? We have leveled up, so let's go put some points. Because I activated this before actually getting the passive from the boss, I don't even have this active. And I don't know if this automatically, the points that you see at the bottom, I'm 50% sure that's a completely separate store of, or supply? There's a better term for it. But that's a completely separate amount of skill points, which is, those are skill points that are completely separate from the other ones that you spend at the skill trainer, I think. Anyway, I wouldn't mind getting that up to, but I don't think we really need it. And the Novas, we've done fine without having this. As you saw, we've had no... Actually, now that I think about it, this actually isn't doing anything for us. This literally only exists just to give damage to this, but we don't have it, so it does nothing but eat these points down here. That being said, I don't care. Instead, I would like to upgrade you. Definitely you. Fused Topaz, Iceman. Definitely for Fire Pen. But we don't have as much dependence on fire damage now. We will still go with the Fiery Smash. That's all. I don't remember the augment's proper name, but that should communicate what I'm talking about. We don't need the Life Stone. The Ring of Health is fine, I guess. But for the rest, it doesn't need any investment. Not for this guy. Go up here. For the stat points, we have 7 to spend. I will make this... Actually, spend 2 there. 4 there, and... maybe for daggers. Yeah, sure, why not? Do you have another dash recharge? Nah, we've spent enough. So, we do have 2 maps, which means next episode we will be running those with the other remaining 2 advanced classes that we need to test. Which may result in a rather short video, because assuming we don't die, of course, we'll run those 2 and then, we could... No, see. Well, yeah, okay, so next episode we will run the 2 maps, and that will be pretty much it for what we do then. I will then create the warrior, whose skills we will go over, and I guess we'll check out the augments for the skills and passives as well. We're gonna have to put away. I'm probably still going to be using this weapon, because why not? At least until I get a purple that is incredible. But I really do want to go look at what the maps, what equipment the 2 maps will give. But I'm going to hold off until next episode, which I'm about to record immediately anyway. So I don't have to wait. You do. Nevertheless, I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves and everything you've seen here. We will be back tomorrow with another episode, and you know what we're going to be doing, so I hope to see you and you, and I guess even you two there. And so, with all that said, we will see you next time.